All right, ladies, pause with me for a second and really sit with this. Why do some women inspire commitment, respect, care, and steady effort from a man, while other women keep getting little crumbs, blurry answers, random attention, and exhausting mixed signals? Why can two women be just as beautiful, just as warm, just as smart, and yet one is treated like a prize, while the other is treated like an option that can be picked up and dropped whenever it is convenient? It is not luck. It is not magic. It is not some secret trick. It is not about being colder, prettier, louder, sexier, or harder to get. And it is definitely not about twisting yourself into a character just to make somebody stay. It is about the way you stand in your own mind. Because the truth is simple and sharp. Men respond in a very different way to a woman who is mentally strong. Not hard, not bitter, not shut down, not playing queen while breaking inside. I am talking about a woman who is rooted, calm, clear, and real. A woman who trusts herself. A woman who knows her worth without screaming for people to notice it. A woman who does not fold every time someone pulls back, gets distant, or starts acting strange. And by the time this is over, you are going to understand how to become that woman in a way that feels natural, powerful, and deeply attractive. If you are new here, my name is Ismael Gomez. I am a coach, writer, and speaker, and today we are diving into 3 mindset shifts that can completely change how you move in love, in dating, and in life. Because when your mind is strong, your energy changes, your choices change, your standards change, the way people treat you changes. And the best part is this: when your mind gets stronger, you stop needing to beg anybody to choose you. People feel your worth before you even explain it. They feel it in your calm. They feel it in your tone. They feel it in the way you do not collapse when something feels uncertain. That kind of energy is loud without being noisy. So let us get into it. First, stop over-explaining. Let us be real. How many times have you written a long message, stared at it, edited it, added more to it, sent it, and then sat there hoping he would finally understand your heart? How many times have you thought, maybe if I explain myself just a little better, maybe if I tell him how much I care, maybe if I show him I am honest and thoughtful and mature, then maybe he will finally step up. Maybe he will see my value. Maybe he will stop pulling away. Maybe he will become clear. Maybe he will do right by me. Almost every woman has done this at some point. So if you have, do not shame yourself. You are human. When you care, you want to be understood. That part is normal. But here is the problem. Over-explaining usually does not create clarity. It creates leakage. It spills your power all over the floor. Mentally strong women do not beg to be understood. They do not send emotional essays to convince someone to care. They do not pour paragraph after paragraph into a phone, hoping sincerity will drag a person back into alignment. They say what they mean. They say enough. And then they watch. They let actions answer the question that words keep dancing around. They do not confuse access with intimacy. They do not confuse texting with effort. And they do not confuse their ability to explain with the other person's willingness to rise. Let me give you an example. One woman inside my program had been seeing a guy for a little while. Things seemed fine, and then one evening he did not call her back like he said he would. Later, he sent a message saying something like, "Hey, sorry, I got called into an unexpected no-heat job yesterday. I will call you tomorrow." Now, her reply was kind, sweet, thoughtful, and way too loaded. She said something like, "Hey, oh no, that sounds stressful. I hope you were able to fix the issue and that everything went smoothly. I have been reflecting on our conversation since you called. I do have a date in the late afternoon, so before 3 or around 8 works best for me. Looking forward to hearing your voice." Now, on the surface, there is nothing rude or wild in that message. It sounds polite. It sounds emotionally intelligent. It sounds caring. But underneath it, there is too much. Too much detail. Too much emotional exposure. Too much energy handed over. Too much effort spent making the interaction feel smooth, warm, and safe for him. So I showed her a cleaner version. Something like, "Hey, that sounds stressful. Hope everything got sorted. I am free before 3 or around 8 if that works for you. That is it. Short, clear, grounded. No emotional spill, no hidden plea, no extra softness trying to earn better treatment. Just information, dignity, and calm. Do you see the difference? The first message leans forward. The second message stands still. The first one quietly says, I hope this lands well. I hope you still want me. I hope this keeps us connected. The second one says, here is my availability, and the rest is on you. That is what strength looks like in everyday moments. It is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is just a woman choosing not to add the extra sentence, not to explain the full storm in her chest, not to perform emotional labor for a man who has not even shown consistent effort yet. Because over-explaining is often a symptom of insecurity. It shows up when you want to justify your feelings, prove your goodness, soften your standards, or protect yourself from being misunderstood. But hear me clearly. If a man wants to understand you, he will listen. And if he does not want to understand you, there is no paragraph on earth that will force wisdom into him. So the next time you feel that urge to send a huge message, stop. Breathe. Put the phone down for a minute and ask yourself, am I sharing this because it feels true and clean and grounded? Or am I sharing this because I want to be picked, validated, rescued, or reassured? That question matters, because sometimes the need to be understood is really just the need to feel emotionally safe in someone else's hands. And when you are mentally strong, you stop handing your emotional safety to people who have not earned the right to hold it. You do not twist your truth into a speech. You let your boundaries talk. You let your standards talk. You let your restraint talk. Remember this. You are not here to convince anyone to care. You are here to connect with someone who already shows that they do. Second, keep the energy in your body. This one is huge, and a lot of women do not even realize when they are losing this battle. So what does it mean to keep the energy in your body? It means you do not abandon yourself every time something changes. It means you do not throw your whole nervous system at a man just because he got quiet, pulled back, or became inconsistent. It means you stay with yourself. You stay anchored. You stay home inside your own skin. Imagine that your energy is like heat in your body. When you are calm, centered, and connected to yourself, you feel alive. You feel attractive. You feel magnetic. People can sense that. But the second you start chasing, overthinking, decoding, spiraling, replaying conversations, checking your phone, drafting speeches in your head, and obsessing over what changed, your energy starts pouring out of you. You are no longer present. You are no longer glowing. Your power is no longer with you. It is sitting in somebody else's pocket. And this is where so many women lose themselves. A man pulls away a little, and suddenly their whole body is in emergency mode. The mind starts racing. Should I text him? Should I wait? Did I say too much? Did I not say enough? Is he losing interest? Is there another woman? What happened? How do I fix this? How do I pull him back? How do I close the gap? And just like that, her center is gone. She is no longer living her life. She is orbiting his inconsistency. Now, some women hear this and swing to the other extreme. They think, okay, if I want to be strong, I need to act like I do not care. I need to shut down, act cold, pull my heart away, become distant, pretend nothing touches me. No, that is not strength. That is armor. And armor is heavy. Real strength is not numbness. Real strength is emotional self-command. It is knowing the difference between a raw reaction and a clean response. It is feeling what you feel without letting it drag you across the floor. So let us say the man you have been dating starts slipping. The calls get weird, the texts slow down, the plans get canceled, something is off. Everything in you wants to chase clarity, force a talk, crack the code, and get relief. But instead of rushing outward, you pause, you breathe. You notice the panic without becoming the panic. You come back into your body. Maybe you go to the gym and let the tension burn off. Maybe you take a long walk and let your breath settle. Maybe you call a friend who keeps you sane instead of feeding the drama. Maybe you sit in silence, journal, pray, stretch, or meditate. Maybe you go pour your energy back into your work, your goals, your joy, your home, your body, your peace. Do you understand what you are doing in that moment? You are refusing to leak. You are refusing to beg. You are refusing to let somebody else's confusion become your whole identity. And that sends a message louder than any speech ever could. The message is this: I do not panic when things shift. I do not lose myself because you are inconsistent. I am not here to audition for love. I am here to choose what is aligned. That energy is powerful. It is sexy. It is calm, but it has teeth. And men feel it. They may not always have the language for it, but they feel it. Because men are not deeply drawn to women who need them in order to feel complete. They are drawn to women who are already connected to themselves and who choose to share their energy instead of bleeding it out for scraps. That is magnetism. Magnetism is not being the loudest woman in the room. It is not trying to outshine everyone. It is not trying to impress. It is the quiet force of someone who is fully with herself. Someone whose energy is not all over the place. Someone whose peace is not on sale. Someone who knows how to care without collapsing. Look at people who leave unhealthy relationships. One of the most common things they say is, I feel drained. I do not feel like myself anymore. I feel empty. And that is because toxic dynamics do not just break your heart. They slowly drain your life force. Little by little, text by text, excuse by excuse, panic by panic. You give your attention. You give your focus. You give your body. You give your time. You give your softness. You give your hope. And if there is no real care coming back, you end up spiritually dehydrated. That is why this lesson matters so much. Because love is not just about what you give. It is also about what it costs you. And if the cost of connection is your peace, your sleep, your glow, your mental health, your confidence, and your center, then the price is too high. So keep your energy in your body. Stop scattering yourself trying to control what another person is doing. Let them reveal themselves while you remain rooted in yourself. Your body knows when something is off. Your mind knows when you are overextending. And your job is not to force a bond. Your job is to stay whole. Third, you are the clarity. This one cuts deep because it goes straight to the games that people play with words. Most people will tell you to communicate more, ask better questions, wait for the right talk, and give things time. Sometimes that is fair. But sometimes the truth is already standing in front of you wearing a cheap disguise. When a man says he is confused, many times he is not confused. When he says he does not know what he wants, he often knows exactly what he wants. He just does not want the pressure of saying it clearly. When he says, "Let us just see where this goes," very often he already knows where he is willing to take it and where he is not. Vague language is one of the oldest tricks in the book because it keeps the door open without offering real security. But here is the part that matters even more than spotting the game. A mentally strong woman does not need to chase clarity because she becomes the clarity. She does not sit there waiting for someone else to define the relationship so she can finally relax. She does not hand her peace over to another person's timing. She leads with self-respect. She decides what works for her. She lets alignment, not attachment, lead her choices. Let me say it another way. You do not ask people what 2 plus 2 is because you already know the answer. You only start asking around when you stop trusting what is obvious. The same thing happens in dating. If you constantly feel confused about where you stand, if you keep needing reassurance, if you keep searching for hidden meaning, if you keep asking your friends to decode his behavior, then the deeper question is not, what is he doing? The deeper question is, why am I ignoring what I already see? Because most women know. They know when a man is serious. They know when a man is half in and half out. They know when something feels clean and when it feels crooked. They know when effort is real and when effort is just enough to keep them attached. The problem is not lack of information. The problem is lack of trust in their own perception. And that is where mental strength changes everything. When you trust yourself, you stop bargaining with red flags. You stop calling inconsistency a rough patch. You stop calling emotional unavailability a slow burn. You stop calling bare minimum effort potential. You stop romanticizing confusion like it is mystery. It is not mystery, it is fog. And fog is not where you build a future. So ask yourself, what do I actually want? Not, what do I hope he turns into? Not, what can I tolerate a little longer? Not, what can I explain away? What do I truly want? Do I want consistency? Do I want honesty? Do I want peace? Do I want effort that does not have to be dragged out? Do I want someone whose words and actions match? If the answer is yes, then the next question is just as important. Am I honoring those standards even when my feelings are loud? Because standards are easy when you are clear and calm. The real test is whether you can hold them when your heart is hungry. That is where strong women separate themselves. They do not wait for a man to tell them where they stand. They watch, they feel, they notice, and then they move accordingly. They do not need a courtroom speech. They do not need a perfect closing statement. They do not need to force clarity out of someone who keeps speaking in smoke. They become the kind of woman who can say, "This does not work for me," and mean it. Not as a bluff, not as a dramatic line, but as a grounded truth. And if you are not fully there yet, that is okay. Truly, do not beat yourself up. Do not shame yourself for the ways you have settled, chased, explained, or ignored your own gut. Growth is messy. Strength is built in layers. Self-trust is not born in one night. It grows every single time you choose self-respect over self-abandonment. Every time you listen to your gut instead of your fear. Every time you pause before sending the desperate message. Every time you come back to your body. Every time you walk away from what keeps wounding you. Every time you stop begging for what should be given freely. That is how your confidence gets real. Not from saying affirmations while living in chaos. Not from pretending you are unbothered while your whole spirit is in pieces. Real confidence comes from evidence. It comes from watching yourself make better choices. It comes from proving to yourself that you can survive disappointment without shrinking your standards. It comes from knowing that even if somebody leaves, lies, fades, or fumbles you will not abandon yourself to keep them. So let us bring it all home. Stop over-explaining. Keep your energy in your body. And remember that the clarity you are chasing is often already inside you. Those 3 shifts can change your whole dating life because they change your relationship with yourself first. And once that relationship gets stronger, everything else starts sorting itself out. You stop entertaining crumbs. You stop dressing up confusion like romance. You stop leaking your peace to people who have not earned access to it. You become calmer, sharper, warmer, but wiser. Softer, but stronger. And that combination is powerful. Before we close, I want to give you a little exercise because I love making this practical. Think about a text message you sent to a man that was way too long, way too emotional, way too detailed, or way too eager. Maybe at the time it felt honest, but now you can see that it was really over-explaining. Drop that kind of message in the comments. And what I will do is jump in and show you a cleaner, stronger, simpler version of what you could have said instead. I probably will not get to every single one, but I will try to reply to at least 10 of them so I can help you sharpen that skill. Because less really can be more when the energy behind your words is solid. Thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for subscribing, for listening, for wanting better for yourself. I am genuinely glad you are here learning about self-love, dating, and relationship dynamics with me. And as I always say, if you want your relationships to change, you have to change first. Not by becoming fake, not by becoming cold, but by becoming stronger in your mind, clearer in your standards, and more loyal to your own peace. Have a beautiful day, and let me add one more truth because this is where so many women get stuck. A lot of pain in dating does not come from what happened once. It comes from what you keep replaying after it happened. One late reply becomes a movie in your head. One canceled date becomes a whole trial. One vague sentence becomes a puzzle you keep chewing on at 2 in the morning. And the mind can be savage when it is starving for certainty. It will make excuses for what hurt you. It will romanticize what barely fed you. It will call a tiny spark a fire just because you are cold. That is why mental strength matters so much. It helps you stop turning crumbs into a feast in your imagination. It helps you stop making a man bigger than he really is, just because he triggered something tender in you. Sometimes the hottest thing a woman can do is tell the truth without glitter on it. This feels bad. This feels shaky. This feels one-sided. This is not enough for me. That kind of honesty will save you years. And yes, it can sting. Yes, it can disappoint you. Yes, it can bruise the fantasy. But fantasy is expensive when you keep paying for it with your peace. Reality might be sharp, but at least reality is clean. So if someone is hot and cold, believe the cold. If someone is all words and no weight, believe the emptiness. If someone keeps you spinning, dizzy, and doubting yourself, stop calling that chemistry. Sometimes it is not chemistry. Sometimes it is chaos with good lighting. And chaos can look sexy for a minute, but it leaves a mess. You do not need spark without safety. You do not need attention without intention. You do not need a connection that tastes sweet for 5 seconds and then poisons your whole week. You need something real, something steady, something that does not demand that you betray yourself just to keep it alive. And when you move like that, you stop begging for sparks and start expecting fire with warmth, truth, and backbone. You stop dating from hunger and start dating from power. That is when your whole presence changes, and the wrong people feel it because they can no longer play with you. No more games.